Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to Real Reds Talk, an authentic football fan channel made in Manchester. Happy New Year to everyone. Hope you've had a wonderful Christmas, wonderful Boxing Day, and a wonderful New Year, even though it's only been 2 days into it, so it can't be that good of a New Year unless you've won the lottery or something, in which case, Happy New Year to you people as well. But it is a new year. It is a fresh start. Will it be a fresh start for Manchester United? Probably not, because we've been pretty disappointing for the majority of the season. So, look, we're going to talk about, I'm going to put the stories on the screen as always. The transfer window, the Adidas deal potentially collapsing with certain contract clauses in there. We're going to talk about Jarrad Branthwaite, who's apparently back on the table, or maybe not back on the table, and talk about Casemiro and Antony and potential deals that being done in January, because as everyone knows, the January transfer window is just a nightmare to do any business in. Or so they put out there that it is. I mean, I know certain players in January who signed, like, Van Dijk, I'm sure, went to Liverpool in January. We signed Vidic and Evra in January. Fernando Torres was signed. I think we signed Bruno in January. So it can be done, usually, but given the amount of stuff that's being pushed out there about financials is just, outrageous when you talk about Man United. And the first kind of story that I want to dive into kind of dives into this. And it's about the Adidas deal with United. So, according to the Telegraph, Adidas may terminate the agreement by giving one full season's notice if Manchester United, I can't even believe I'm saying these words, if Manchester United are relegated from the English Premier League, or if it is otherwise determined that the men's team shall not be participating in the Premier League or the top English league. United could face the prospect of players remaining on their current wages in the event of relegation to the Championship, with the club having not inserted relegation clauses into the contracts. Now, people might laugh at that, right? And say, what you on about, like, relegation? Like, we'll never be near that or anything. Okay, I'll take your point, but we're currently 14th at the moment, yeah? Crystal Palace, does everyone consider them as, relegation contenders, or at least in the mix who could possibly go down? If not a week or 2 weeks ago, everyone was saying that, right? If we lose our next game, which is highly likely, given that we're playing team who are currently top of the table at Anfield in the form that we're in, Crystal Palace, if they win their game, will leapfrog us. If Everton win their game, they'll go 2 points behind us. That is, whether people like it or not, that is contention for relegation. It just is. And the form that we're in at the moment, Jamie Carragher said it after our last game, 5 wins in 5 losses, sorry. I wish it was fucking 5 wins. 5 losses in 6 games. That is relegation form. And that will become, and I know this sounds really negative, but that will become 6 losses in 7 games when we lose to Liverpool at Anfield, because there's no way we're getting a result there. I would be more shocked, and I know we've said that under previous managers like Ole and Mourinho and stuff, that we'll never get a result, and you add things like Wanfield, etc. But we've been way better teams then, or at least been a lot higher in the league. We're going there 14th, and we're in 14th for the right reasons. West Ham are above us, Brentford are above us, Tottenham are above us, Brighton above us. All these teams are above us because they are better than us. They're better coached teams at the minute, and they're playing better football. Simple as that. You have to call a spade a spade. So, obviously, Adidas are looking at this, and they're thinking, do you know what? This could get ugly, basically. If you go down to the Championship, which is just crazy. It's crazy even thinking about the fucking prospect of that, isn't it? It's absolutely bizarre. But they're obviously going to lose out on a lot of money. And they talk about missing out on European football or Champions League football being fucking catastrophic. I mean, you get relegated as a club at Man United, that is just, yeah. Especially if they've got contracts in there, which they kind of touched on there, that the current wages in the event of a relegation will stay like that. So you're in the Championship, and you're like, actually, mate, your wages don't get caught. Harry, you stay on 200. Antony, you stay on 200. Mason, you're still earning 270. Shaw, I know you haven't played for about a year. You're still earning 200 and odd grand. Casemiro, can't sell you to Saudi. You're going to be here for another, in the Championship on £350,000 a week. That is just fucking, it's crazy. It's crazy to even think about that. Hopefully, we never get to that point. Hopefully, there's an upturn in form. I mean, I as a United fan now, I'm looking at, like, set games in the calendar, and I'm looking at, right, where can we pick up points here? And I'm thinking, Southampton at home, that's coming up soon. I'm like, that's 3 points you would like to think. I mean, Southampton have won 1 game all season, but they have just got a new coach in who's very defensive-minded and has kept clubs up in Italy before, who's got a track record of that. So you're like, oh, manager bounce. We had the manager bounce against Wolves, and we lost. You know, they were considered one of the worst teams in the league, and we lost to Wolves at Molineux. So, to be honest, it's a free-for-all at the moment. I actually don't know where we're going to pick up points, where we're going to, draws. I don't know where the upturning form. I don't know where the goals are going to come from. Genuinely, don't know where the goals are going to come from in this team. Because I thought maybe Ahmad can carry the burden a little bit. But even he's going quiet now. He's becoming a product of United's environment, which is just all doom and gloom. We saw Marcus Rashford back on the bench, but that's wishing on a star, waiting for him to kind of, come back into form, etc. So, yeah, Bradders, big up yourselves. A shout out for you. Thank you everyone who's following on TikTok. Jake saying I'd take 16th now. Season was over ever since we kept Eric. Yeah, that I think a lot of people feel that was the big decision, wasn't it? Keeping Erik ten Hag at the club, I feel like that has set us back potentially even 2 seasons. Because had you been ruthless, and from a personal perspective, if it was my choice, I don't blame him, because after the FA Cup final, I was one of the people who was saying, keep him on, let's see what he can do, give him proper staff above him, and let's go into the season with full of positivity. And if you remember, actually, the vibes over the summer, we just won the FA Cup, we signed Lenny Yoro, Joshua Zirkzee, all these guys, and you've got these professionals above him, and you're like, okay, I reckon we could do something here. And that just got taken out of our sales straight away within the first month in August. You look at some of the results there, you're like, okay, maybe this was the wrong decision. But they're hired in that position to make these decisions with a clear head, not to think like a fan. That's why they're in there. And some of them chose, I think it was Dan Ashworth and Dave Brailsford, who was pushing to stick with Erik ten Hag, and I think Wilcox and Omar were the ones who were kind of leaning more towards a new coach and a new structure and new players, etc. So had United have brought in Amorim during the summer, things would look a lot different. But because they've stuck with him, they've spent, I don't know, I would say 160 million, I think, 600 in total on ten Hag. It's set you back. Now you're like, okay, you need a few windows of recruitment. And you speak to any sporting fans, and we've got a sporting fan in the chat in a minute, Ricardo. Big up to Ricardo. Happy New Year to you as well, brother. But they will tell you, if you listen to him, they will say, this is exactly how it was at Sporting. Exactly how it was. Came in, there was players there who just did not fit his system whatsoever. He had to grind it out. He had to stick with him. And then once he started bringing in certain players that he wanted in those positions, things changed like that. Ask any sporting fan. They will tell you that. So, we need windows. They're not going to spend in January for whatever people think. You're seeing all these new stories. Maybe we'll sell a couple players. Maybe a couple players will go out on loan. And maybe we'll sign one player maximum. But the amount of stuff that Ineos and United are pushing about PSR and how close they are to it and da-da-da, they're not going to do any big business in January. So just cut that out straight. Not happening. I'm telling you now, it's not happening. And even though that that is the case, there's still stories flying about. But they will be more for the summer, I would imagine. So, for example, one of them is Jarrad Branthwaite. Man United are apparently not in a position to meet Everton's demands for Jarrad Branthwaite. We know we bid multiple times for him. Last summer, I think even there was links the summer before with Jarrad, and they was talking about they want 70 plus million, basically. His deal, I think, he's got 2 years left on it, from what I remember when I was talking about. I'm pretty sure his contract runs out 2027, I think. So, another year goes by, another summer, that's when it starts getting a little bit of squeaky bum time for Everton. But they have just got new owners who are taking over. They're going into a new stadium. And there's a likelihood that they could convince him to stay. I think he's destined for better clubs. I look at that left-sided centre-half role, and I keep pushing it on this channel because I can see it. I could just... Lisandro Martinez in a back three on that left side don't work. On the ball, he's amazing. We all know his abilities. We don't need to go through that. We've said it a million times. He's fantastic on the ball, progression through the lines, etc. But as a player, an all-around player in that back fight and the back three, it don't work. It's not working at the moment. I think someone like a Jarrad Branthwaite would be perfect in that area because he's tall, he's physical, he's quick, he's good on the ball. I think that's a much better option for me personally. Over on there, I would go and do that. But the issue is, if they're pushing this line about money and how we can't spend and da so much, then how are they going to go and spend 70 million on Branthwaite and then go buy a left wing back and a right wing back and a striker and an attacking player and a midfielder? It's not going to work. They're going to have to pick positions carefully and then going to have to do the due diligence in scouting. So the fact that this is being briefed out there from James Ducker, who's a fantastic journalist, saying that they're not going to meet their demands, doesn't surprise me at all. And I actually think Jarrod Branthwaite could end up going to another club in the Prem, a top 6 club. I think he could move to. Who that'd be, I'm not entirely sure, to be honest with you, because I'm looking at clubs who need centre-backs. I'm like, will City go in for him? I feel like they've got loads of centre-backs. I know some of them are injured and out, but Stones, Ake, Akanji, Ruben Diaz, like, do they need a centre-back? I don't think so. Arsenal, they've got Saliba and Gabriel, who are, a fantastic partnership, one of the best in the league. Are they going to want centre-backs? Probably not. Chelsea, maybe. But I feel like they need experience more so than young talent. They've got young talent in Colwell and Fofana and these guys. They need someone like who's just left in, like a Thiago Silva, like an experienced figure. So that's what I mean. I'm scratching my head on that. I don't know actually where he goes potentially. I mean, any shouts from you guys, I'll happily listen to. But I don't know. Don't know. I just don't think. There was at a point where I was like, I think we're definitely going to sign Jarrad Branthwaite. Now I'm like, if it were rating it out of 10, I'm going with like a 3 out of 10. I just don't see it happening. We've got other bits of transfer news coming in as well. Wilco saying, I love your downfall. Thank you very much. Positivity spreading in the new year. It's nice to see. Omorodion. So Man United have had scouts at Porto's win over Boavista at the weekend, where it's believed they were watching Samu Omorodion Aghehowa. So I probably butchered that pronunciation. But anyone who's watched him, and obviously we saw it firsthand. I was talking about Martinez and how he fell off. That was one of the biggest examples of that. You watched the game against Porto in the Europa League when Ten Hag was still there. I mean, De Ligt and Martinez were like the Chuckle brothers. Shocking performance. And Omorodion was a big part of that. Like physical, quick, a proper handful. I like to call him, and this might be disrespectful to him, but kind of like the Victor Osimhen B option is what I would go for. I think he's a very talented boy. I think, obviously, Chelsea were in for him. They wanted to sign him, and that deal kind of broke down for whatever reasons. But he's a good striker. Whether he's the one who's kind of the big experience, not experience, but the big talent that's going to score the goals for us and take that's the one thing I'm not utterly convinced on. I want a proven goal scorer who's going to get you 20-plus goals guaranteed per season, because a lot of teams have him. Even look at like teams who've got kind of secondary strikers, like Duran, for example, scoring more goals than our strikers. Like, go through each team that are in the top half now. They've got players who are getting good numbers. We don't have anyone like that, anyone at all. So I think that's more of a gamble going for like someone like a Omorodion. I would rather go for guaranteed, or what you would think would be guaranteed goals in someone like a Victor Osimhen. Or there's other options out there in Europe who you can go and get. Rasmus Højlund and Joshua Zirkzee are not going to score 15-plus goals this season. Just not going to happen. And that's to say that at Man United is crazy. Can I speak to you about Man United from playing in their academy? Of course you can. Comment away. Who have Man City got next, do you mean? Let's have a look. I have got the Premier League predictions. So the next round, game week 20, coming up soon. Man City have got West Ham at home. And we have Liverpool at Anfield, which is going to be a sticky one, isn't it? Steph in the chat, Charlie in the chat, big up to you guys. Happy New Year. Hope you're all good. Branthwaite's good, but not worth the asking price. Agreed. Martinez has been bad all season long. It's not just the back three, but also in the back four. He was bad in the back four, but I think he's more exposed in his back three. It's channel defending, I'm telling you. Can't deal with it. Hello, Brandon, as well. Hope you're good, brother. Happy New Year, mate. Hope you had a good new Christmas. Happy New Year, new Christmas. Don't make sense. Osimhen would be crazy. Needs to fix the dressing room, not add more disruption. Look, you get big strikers. They've got personalities. Look at Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Look at Cristiano Ronaldo. If they're bagging goals, we're desperate for goals at the moment, to be honest. I don't think you can be picky in a situation. We can't sit there at the moment and go, no, we can't bring Osimhen in. What about, you know, he can kick up a fuss or whatever. Is he back in 20 goals? Good. Get him in. Get him in, please. But for any of these kind of deals to happen, outgoings, which I'm sure you'll all be fucking bored of by now because they're just being brief like you wouldn't believe. We need to sell, we're close to PSR and da-da-da. And it's just like, oh, fucking yawn. Like, honestly. But according to them, we need to sell, right? So deals like Casemiro. We had Ben Jacobs coming out last night saying that multiple Saudi clubs remain interested in Casemiro's situation. Al-Ittihad made the most concrete approach over the summer. Al Nasser and Al Qasiyah, I can't say that word, are also interested. Al Ali are in the market for a holding midfielder. So, potential clubs interested in Saudi, right? That is the perfect... that's the perfect opportunity for someone like Casemiro to go to. People would say the same thing with Antony. Antony's not going to go there at the age he's at. Antony's 22 years old. He ain't going Saudi. Casemiro's 32 now, I think, pretty much. He's on a massive wage. That is like, when you're ticking the boxes for a player going to Saudi, you're like, yes, Benzema, Cristiano Ronaldo, N'Golo Kante, you know, all these players past 30 on massive wages. It seems like the perfect fit. If we can send Casemiro to Saudi, for the love of God, and if there was anyone wishing on a star thinking there's a rejuvenation, which a lot of people thought under Erik ten Hag when he came back into the team, not happening. Him and Eriksen in the midfield in the last game was, oh my God. It was, you could just see both of them, like, if you shut your eyes, it's like, I can imagine him in the MLS. Just old, legs are gone, do not suit the system whatsoever. So, if we can get a deal for Casemiro to Saudi, please let it happen. But again, it's all kind of vocal noises at the minute. There's stuff with Antony going on loan to Real Betis as well. Happy for that deal to go through. Look, he's not really playing, but I'm kind of sat there like, is it worth doing a loan? In reality, are Real Betis going to buy him, or are they just looking for someone for 6 months? To be honest with you, I thought Antony at wing back, because Mazraoui's knackered. I don't know who you're going to play there when Mazraoui isn't there. And also the stats that you've seen from when wing backs play there. We haven't scored a single goal when Maz and Dallo are at wing back. So I want to trial, and it might be a bit controversial. I might be in the, you know, kind of minority in this, but I think I want to see him a bit more at wing back, Antony. And I know that's controversial. I know people don't like it and da-da-da. But I don't know. I just want to see him there a little bit more. Because the cameos that I've seen when he's come on with Ahmad, I think it's some good combinations. I just haven't seen him start there. And I might be wrong. He might start there for a game and stink out the place. But I just want to see it. But obviously, if a club comes in January and is willing to pay money, then you take it and fucking run, wouldn't you? You know what I mean? Jav's saying Man's better at centre-back too. Yeah, that right-sided centre-half is good. The issue is with that, you have a very talented boy in Lenny Yoro who you paid a lot of money for, who you want to grow into that role. So, yeah. We just had news coming out as well in the past couple of minutes that Manchester United players had their own ideas about who was leaking team news at the club, making efforts to identify the culprit. A number of players' representatives contacted Mailsport claiming to know who was to blame. Why put, with all due respect, why put that out there and then not say the name? Do you know what I mean? It's fucking bollocks that. I don't get why put the story out there if you're not going to say the name. It's proper stupid, that. Anyhow, Player of the Month nominees, another story that I wanted to talk about. I don't think anyone should even get an award for anything that's been done. December was one of the worst months. Just eat this for a second. December was one of the worst months in the history of the club in terms of results. Since 1970, I think it was, the stats said. The worst run of results. Let's just recap the mind and realise Man United's results. I mean, I can remember half of them, but some of them. So, let me just go back a little bit. December. So, we started December, quite nice. The 1st of December with a 4-0 win over Everton. Someone just put who's been in the goal of the month. Fuck knows. No idea. We lost 2-0 to Arsenal. Didn't score a single goal. We lost 3-2 to Nottingham Forest at Old Trafford. We beat Victoria Pleasant 2-1. God, that feels like weeks ago, that. I don't even feel like December. We beat Man City in a Manchester derby. Amazing, right? Then we lost 4-3 to Tottenham. we lost 3-0 to Bournemouth, we lost 2-0 to Wolves, and we lost 2-0 to Newcastle. So in that time that I've just been discussing, we have scored 6, 8, 10, 13. Scored 13 goals, right? I've conceded 2, 5, 6, 7, 11, 14, 16, 18 goals. Scored 13, conceded 18 goals in those games. We've got Liverpool next. We've got Arsenal in the FA Cup, and then we've got Southampton at home. It's been, I mean, talk about January being a rough month. Talk about December supposed to be full of festivity and positivity. It's been the total opposite to that, hasn't it? Do you know what I mean? Grandad said last night he'd put a tenner on us to beat Poole. Wish I was optimistic. I think maybe have a conversation with your Grandad. If he thinks we're going to beat Liverpool, yeah, I don't know what to tell him. Celtic versus Rangers predictions, 1-1. I'll go with. But, sorry, I'm going off topic here. Player of the Month nominees, I don't think anyone deserves any rewards, like I said, because the performances have been shocking. But the 3 nominees are Amad Diallo, Harry Maguire, and Manuel Ugarte. They're the 3 names that have been mentioned for Player of the Month. The argument I will put out for one of them, I'll say Amad, for example, has been good and started really good, but then the past 2-3 games has been really quiet and hasn't really done anything at all. And it's still a conversation, is he better at the wing-back role or is he better in the inside 10? That's a different podcast in itself. Harry Maguire, the same thing. Started off really well in December, but then I think the past couple of games, he had a really bad game for the first 45. Who was it against? He had a really good game in the Manchester derby, and then it was the game after that, I think it was. It was Bournemouth, was it? Maybe, or Tottenham. It was either Bournemouth or Tottenham, where I think it was Bournemouth at Old Trafford. He was dog shit. Whereas Manuel Ugarte, I don't think any of you can tell me one bad game he's had in December. So if I'm going with anyone, I think Ugarte deserves it. I think Ugarte will win it, to be fair, because he's been the only breath of fresh air. And when he got a yellow card in the game before the last one, I was like, oh, fucking hell. And you saw how important he is when Eriksen and Casemiro were starting there, didn't you? So I think Ugarte deserves it. I also agree with Jamie as well. I think he's one of our most important players for sure. I think De Ligt is underrated. I think Ugarte definitely. Mazraoui, Amad. They're probably the players I'm looking at, and I'm like, who you can half rely on. The rest of him, Højlund, Xerxes, Garnacho, Eriksen, Casemiro, Malacia, Dalot, Lissandro. You know, any of these players, I'm like, even Onana now, like, Onana had a really good start to the season, but then after the mistakes he made, I'm like, I can't trust this guy at all. Really can't trust this guy. So, I don't know, man. It's, yeah, like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better, unfortunately. Liverpool at Anfield, we're going to have the preview for that tomorrow. We'll have me, Sam and Shreyas, I think, who are doing that preview. We've also got Game Week 20 Premier League predictions. I know quite a few guys are a fan of that, so do not miss that. Can't wait to... I think, actually, quite a lot of the predictions that me and Sam did in the last one, we got spot on. At least the results. We got a couple of score lines correct as well, so be interested to see you guys in there. Obviously, that's for people as well who aren't necessarily Man United fans, you're just football fans in general. So if you love football, content, or whether you're on YouTube or TikTok, wherever, hit that subscribe button, smash a like on the video, and yeah, let us know your thoughts on the game when we do the prediction for the Liverpool game, and also the Premier League predictions as well. And we've got other bits dropping, so keep an eye on the channel. It's a new year, there's fresh things coming. We're only... Let me have a look. We're on 9,817 subscribers at the moment. We are... I can't even do quick math at the minute. 183 subs away from 10,000, which is incredible. So if you aren't subscribed or if you aren't following us on socials, check us out on Instagram. If you want the most up-to-date Man United news, Instagram is the place to be. Real Reds Talk. Same thing with Twitter. If you already follow me on TikTok, fantastic. But yeah, drop us a follow, drop us a DM on Insta or what have you. And yeah, I'll see you guys for the next show. Shows are back to regular consistency now. 12 o'clock, 7 o'clock, etc. Content. Obviously, it's been a busy period over Christmas and New Year, and everyone's with families and stuff. But we are back now, so it's nice to see so many of you. Enjoy the rest of your day, whether you're back in work or whether you still got your one sock on eating your rest of your Christmas dinner. I don't know what you're doing in life at the moment, but I appreciate every single one of you. Up the fucking Reds, and I'll